John Blake presents The Great Train Robber, written by Ronnie Biggs and read by Nick Reynolds. Before we start, I wanted to say a few words about why I'm the one narrating this audiobook. You'll have to forgive me if I don't remember the first time I met Ronnie Biggs, but it would have been in 1963 and I would have been just 1 year old. As you will discover, my dad, Bruce Reynolds, and Ron were very good friends and had first met back in 1949, and it was my father who was responsible for Ron being a part of the Great Train Robbery. Ironically, the first and only crime they committed together. They always did have good taste. So it is fair to say that Ronnie was a dear family friend, and I am honoured to be narrating his audiobook. The Ron I knew and loved was the epitome of the lovable rogue. Most people probably only remember him as a wanted man on the run in the sun, enjoying his ill-gotten freedom in Rio, taunting the establishment by regularly popping up in the media, waving a Union Jack in one hand whilst brandishing a V sign in the other. But he was so much more than that, as I hope you will discover. My father first met Ron in prison in 1949 when they were both YPs. Sharing a love of jazz and literature, especially Ernest Hemingway, they became great friends, both vowing one day to name their firstborn Nick after a favourite Hemingway character, Nick Adams, and to one day write their own books. This they both achieved, although they would never have imagined that they would both go down in criminal history. Without doubt, Ronnie's extraordinary exploits were pivotal in keeping the story of the Great Train Robbery alive in the minds of the public for 50 years. But the robbery itself almost pales in comparison to his achievements whilst living as a wanted man. He was a true one-off that the world of crime will never see again. Even Sir Robert Mark, the Commissioner of Metropolitan Police from 1972 to 1977, was quoted as saying, "Ronnie Biggs added a rare and welcome touch of humour to the history of crime." I'll drink to that. I'm going to briefly hand over to Chris Pickard, who was Ron's ghost and good friend, and who first met Ron when he was trying to track down the Sex Pistols in Rio in 1979, to introduce you in his own words to the one and only Ronnie Biggs, and set the scene of Ron's early years and how Britain was in 1963. Chris will then return later to explain how we finally got to say our goodbyes to Ron, and why the world would have been a much duller place without him. Over to you, Chris.
Forward. Let me introduce to you the one and only Ronnie Biggs. Ronald Arthur Biggs' story began in the London borough of Lambeth with his birth on the 8th of August 1929 to Henry Jack Biggs and Lillian Edna Clayton of Dalyell Road, Stockwell, SW9. The youngest of a family of 5, he had a sister Iris and 3 brothers, Jack, Victor and Terence. His family was working class, but he never considered them to be poor. He wasn't left wanting for anything. The family moved to 30 Kimberley Road in 1936, and Biggs went to school in Lingham Street, just south of what is now Stockwell Tube Station. In 1940, as war raged across Europe and the bombs fell on London, Biggs was separated from his family and evacuated to the relative safety of Coombe-in-Teinhead in South Devon, and later to Delabole in North Cornwall. He returned to London at the end of 1942 and was sent to Santley Street School in Brixton. In May 1943, his mother died from a duodenal ulcer. She was just 53 and Biggs just 13. Around this time, Biggs, now studying at the Brixton School of Building, discovered that if he was good at one thing, it was taking objects of whatever size or value without having to pay for them. This led in February 1945 to his first appearance in court for stealing a pen refill and eraser from a shop display in Littlewoods. He was 15. That same year, in the June and November, he made 2 further court appearances for petty pilfering, but appeared to be back on the right track when he volunteered for the Royal Air Force in 1947. It was during his short time in the RAF, although he had volunteered for 8 years as a regular and 4 years in the reserves, that Biggs learned how to cook. His father, who had been a professional cook at one time, had already instilled in him an interest which he was never to forget. The RAF proved to have its temptations for a man with Biggs's talents, although his first run-in with his superiors was for going AWOL, and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?